Is a 634. The Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is sponsored for his close for a full shlema for Yonasan Ezra ben Chana Feigl. Share full shlema being Mera Mamish. If you'd like to sponsor a coming share or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. It'd be very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Shin Ayin, Siv Beis through Yud. Beis, I'm going to show more. A couple of show but anytime they said that somebody lives there does not forbid carrying. I know this is about Eruv. So if you put an Eruv there, in that house which is not a house, then it's not a valid Eruv. Except for the gatehouse of a specific individual. Nobody passes through it, only one person. Because most gatehouses are made for masses. It's for public access. So it's not like a house at all. The other gatehouse of an individual, it's not like a house in terms of, it's kind of like a compromise. It's not a house in terms that that the person who lives there should forbid other people carrying. Everyone must participate in the Eruv. Because it's not a set abode. On the other hand, Eruv kosher. But an Eruv in that base shire, it's okay. To have a kibbutz, it's like a house. That is one perspective. I'm a pasuk lefach. I'm a pasuk the opposite. The perach avli and the person gam base shire yochid love Eruv. The pasuk said putting the Eruv in the base shire of yochid, the gatehouse, null and void. But down in the deal, pasuk dafka base shire the rama in osar darsham. In the pasuk said in terms of dwelling, only a base shire of the masses, the person who lives there does not forbid and therefore does not have to participate in Eruv. A little base shire the yochid, but he does forbid, he must participate in Eruv. That was his version of the Gemara. Eruv, any place where they said a person who puts his Eruv there, it's not an Eruv. Somebody lives there does not forbid. Chutzi base shire the yochid, because the base shire of an individual. By the time the nation sastira, and the reason is because it's at least to a certain extent the dira. They went to the Yermachir in this. But Tom Shulchan is that davar. He mentions it all. So that lama, I don't know why. Tzarchim, not clear. In the make a be'eruv. Although it's always like the more lenient opinion eruv. Yechlin smoke gives us Rashi Taisus and inclined to Rashi Taisus to be lenient. I bet they say people go to pasuk Rambam, but they say not in the Shulchan, but they say pasuk Rambam. Mita gam das a Torah dator. He wants to contend that the Torah also holds like him. Zebe shar. Anyway, all this whole discussion is about a gatehouse. About Sajah fences, but the other structure talked about the open area and the very open structure and the porch. Including the rabbin. There's no difference between individual or masses. It says here in the brackets, "Hapiro shalano ena oseres." I guess the Piro is like a foyer in front of the main residence. I don't know. Gimel, Baba Shishla Bay Batim Chatzer. Baba has many houses in the yard. But he loaned them or rented out to others. Hey, Muslim love. Yes, make an error to include them. Otherwise, they've been to carry. Both seem to they forbid each other. Shayla shot them because for the time that they're there, call have a kabesa. Each one's like his house. You come nevertheless, Chacham said, if the owner has in each house a tfisas yad, a handhold, any oster doesn't forbid. So as if the Ba'abais lives with all of them together. Tam nearly seems to be the reason is the shayla b'schius and a kamecher. Loaning and renting are not truly like a sale. And nevertheless came with since the borrower or the renter are in have jurisdiction of the house. Naturally, it's considered to be like his. It came on Shagam Ba'abais Seshel Tvisas Yad, but since the Ba'abais also has a Tvisas Yad, Nechsha Ba'abais can become Kishol Ba'abais. The Ba'abais is considered here like he controls the house. What is a Tvisas Yad? Perish Rashi Ba'abais Mokim Dios Shozeh the Ba'abais has a place in this person's apartment, Shanosin Sham Kalev Latznia, where he puts his own stuff to safeguard it. The landlord puts stuff in the renter's house. Miskin Gemara concludes the main double sheni b'Shabbos as he said, but does not move on Shabbos. Ches Ram Berdal Dinu Dal. It's no shiner. Ram right. About Chotzer Shiskir Bibate Chatzer L'Cherim. About the owner of the yard who rented some of the houses in the yard to others. Nichlo Kelim, he left vessels, or mine schora, or merchandise, b'chol bais and each and every house. Ain't no symbol of they don't forbid upon him. Since he has a handle, b'chol bais man in each house, nasa kol karchen, that's everybody's like his guest. It's if he left something there which is forbidden to carry on Shabbos, going to tevel v'ashoshios, such as untight grain and lamps, lanterns. But in each house he has stuff which is you're permitted to carry on Shabbos. It's possible to take them out today, and then he will have no handhold. Then the tenants answer on them until they make an Erev together. Anything which you have to carry for the purpose of its place. Like a tool which is used for a tool designated for an awesome purpose, but you can use the dover heter. That's not called a handle. It's only like the tevel and ashoshes. Maybe ashoshes here are slugs of lead. Which you can't use even for the purpose of that place. That's what it is. That's called a handle. But the gam, that you can't move them even for the use the place. But the gam something which can't be carried because of its heaviness. So something which can't be carried, and that's a handle. Could go tables, kiddos, such as big boxes, etc. In our day and age, the landlord provides a refrigerator, oven. That's he says, yeah. The bracket says, since Ram argues beyond the Zubas Tama, Arukh HaShulchan says, why should you argue? The reason is sound, that as long as something which cannot be moved, it's Jesus Yat. Everyone said, well, what's considered to be too heavy? Obviously, there are things which are clearly too heavy. Come on, we see these things always stay in place. Hey, it's not. There is a question here. Is it that the Ba'abais has a stipulation in the contract that he can put his stuff there? Without such stipulation, it doesn't sound effective. Or if you below night without a stipulation. It's only when he has a stipulation in the contract. Because he wrote, also shows that he has a place in this person's apartment where he puts his objects. Like language of there's a place. It explicitly indicates that he made a condition, a stipulation. So the Ramu says he put things there, not the yesh makom, but he there's there was agreement between the two of them. This is the inclination of the Arukh HaShulchan. The below title without a stipulation, how can you possibly consider him to be the landlord and the neighbors as guests? And that seems to be the case from the Mordechai says that these guys when you rent at a house, but you leave for yourself the corner of the house. And the first commercial Kosavi, like explicitly like the Arukh HaShulchan said. The bracket says, what does it make the Ba'abas could take it out on Shabbos? Came in Shashkenim, saying it's dead neighbors now allowed to move it contractually. That's case what we were saying previously. That's it. When you move on Shabbos, it's not feast yet. They're moving. Arukh HaShulchan says it's not clear what the question is. The came in the Ba'alai Sochel Tim Shabbos, since Ba'abas could take him on Shabbos, ain't a kvius. It's not considered to be a permanence. And if it's not permanent, it's not called tvisas yad. It's not sufficiently of an owner in their rented quarters that they should be considered only as guests. But when it does have a handle, and they're considered a guest of his, they can also take stuff out of their houses, they rented houses or borrowed houses to the Chatzar. Even though there was no Eruv. Some say there's a Makoshem Diurin, Acher Mechatzer, so there aren't other dwellings in the Chatzar. The B'chol Yesh L'Bayim Tfisas Yad, and in other words, in all the dwellings, this one owner has a Tfisas Yad. If there are dwellings in the Chatzar where the Baal Bais is not a Tfisas Yad, Utzrichim Arev, and they have to make an Eruv for them. So it comes out even the tenants have to give a part of the Eruv. Since they're all considered to be guests by the Baal Bais. The Migo, the Hani interesting Migo, since the people whose house is the Baal Bais is not a Tfisas Yad, forbid Haninami, Asinami Hani. Those who are subject to Tfisas Yad also Asir. But that's only if you put the Eruv in the house of one of the people who Asirs. But some of the Eruv comes to them. Yotzim B'Eruv Shabal Bais, the Yotzim of Baal Bais. The Talmud Shel Dover is Bar B'Sif Lav Yubez, and this will become clarified later on. Vav, Upashul Tfisas Yad Melos Wagin Baal Bais L'Shcheno. Tfisas Yad only works from the Baal Bais to his neighbor. Klomar. It says, Gosh Reuven Baal Bais Shel Kocha. So Reuven is the landlord of the entire yard. Hain Shu Mama Shalo. There's some stuff which is actually his. Or actually Shu Mama Shalo means he actually owns it. Or he rented out the entire yard. Or Shalakula, he borrowed the entire yard. My borrow should come from owners who were not present. But from one neighbor to another neighbor, Tfisas Abayis does not have any of the, as meaningless. It's actually considered as one house. So they need an Eruv. So two people who bought a yard or rented it or borrowed it together, Osin sells that they're forbidden each other. Lo mani Tfisas Abayis. His Abayis doesn't work. Even has a specific corner of that other person's house. Bragg says here, Ayin Tas, you can Ashkos, Lafil Yesh Pinim Meches, Ba'bayis, Mikra Tfisas Yad. A specific corner for the Baal Bais array is considered Tfisas Yad. Ayin Sham. Yesh Lefash Pinim Meches, May Blokim. Some people think the Tas means the corner, even when there are no kalim there. But Tosu, it's a mistake. That corner Hefech. It's the opposite. Fil Eno Rak Pino Im Kalim V'Lo Bayis means even though he has a corner with kalim, not the entire house. Mikra Tfisas Yad. Ayin B'Siyos. Ches, Kosovo Ben Rama. Echad Shesochem Ben Bais Ben Akuti. Somebody who hired a house from a non-Jew. And he then in turn rented out one of the apartments to his friend. If that wasn't his initial intent when he rented out from the non-Jew, it's as if the entire apartment building, that's called, belongs to him. And he in turn rented one of the apartments to his friend. But this is intent to begin with. When he rented out the area for the building from the non-Jew, then the second renter is not going to be subservient to the first renter. It's like two different separate houses. Tfisas Yad is not effective in that case. Even though he alone rented from the non-Jew, the non-Jew doesn't know anything about the second guy. So I didn't talk to the landlord, the non-Jewish landlord at all. The first Jew didn't tell the landlord at all. He's renting it also to another person. Nevertheless, Shem Dibru by name, since they agree between the two of them, the two Jews. Shechad Yiskov Shem that one should rent and both of them should live. And one is not superior to the other. And Tfisas Yad is not effective, because Tfisas Yad is only effective when one is landlord and one is a tenant. Now when both are tenants or both are landlords, etc. Only if you rent the house for himself. And then he took one of the rooms or the house and As somebody else, Nechshik Ba'abais, then he's a Ba'abais. On the subsequent matter, Ben Hani Tfisas Yad, Tfisas Yod works. Of course, Tfisas Yad is based on carrying hotels without a native. You have 5 groups who are all making Shabbos in one large hall. One Erev for all of them. In other words, they're like one participant. When some of them are in separate rooms or floors, each group needs its own Erev. Explains the walls between each group. But they don't reach all the way to the ceiling. Start telling that 10 fucking high. We don't get up to the ceiling. Therefore they can all make one Erev. By the walls reach all the way up to the ceiling. Some of them go less than 3 fucking from the ceiling. The Kalav Dam is if it's connected. Each Chabura is independent, has its own Erev. Vein Zemai did not. This match we saw Shuriyim B'Chadorim Babalios. We're not talking about the case where some of them are in rooms or in upper floors. The kind of Mechitzas Gemuras, Hein, these are not true walls we're talking about here in this halacha. And Mechitzas are right, temporary walls. Kamarias like curtains. Since they reach the roof, the ceiling, each group has to participate separately in the Eruv. Yud, beard one. What does it mean? The track in Teshach Echad Shino Bekan. It's called when somebody's not here. And therefore he doesn't forbid them to carry. If there's no owner present, it's not considered to be his dwelling place. These 5 groups, who's spending Shabbos here, even though they're guests of the absentee landlord, Osim says that they forbid each other came to Lake Bailam because there is no owner present. So each one of these groups made between some of the other group a light wall mirios from curtains. They don't reach the ceiling. Because if they're less than 10 tefachim high, they're all like one room. It's no chiddush. Even the 10 tefachim high, it's not reach the ceiling. The ceiling means all like one room. That's why they're next to each other and don't pass through each other. You can't have a kula beishar because then each one would be the gatehouse, the one next to it. It's a separate halacha. Rather, each of these divided sections has an opening into the chutzner. Shami Isa, Shakran have len kachutzer. Shami says the tracking is a chutzner. Vayakenu. It's certainly true. The tracking goes because except for their own cubicles, they all have shlita in the entire tracking. And we'll have to continue elaborating on this case tomorrow.